Hello again, it's Nick Bell here, and this is the second video in the Kingdom Within series, in which I'm introducing a new way to view our relationship with our body and a new framework of understanding when it comes to body consciousness. Now, in my first video, the last one before this, I gave a brief summary as to what we were going to be exploring, what we were going to be looking into. And one of the things that I referenced in that video was a deep ceremony at a Pineal Tribe Retreat back in 2018, in which I received this information as somewhat of a download, which then really entered into me as a deep awareness and has subsequently manifest into the body of work now known as the Kingdom Within. So I'm going to share in this video a bit more about the story of that ceremony, because it was arguably one of the most profound experiences of my entire life. So we were in a ceremony which was due to start at 8 p.m. and finish at 8 a.m. So it's a very long ceremony. And around 3 or 4 hours in, I was sitting in deep meditation, and as I was sitting there, I just felt myself just drop, fall into a deep descent, like I was falling into a bottomless pit of some description, just falling and falling and falling and falling. And as I continued to fall, the world I could previously see around me got smaller and smaller and further away, until I found myself rested and stopped in a space. Now, this space I was in was like a huge grand hall, like as far as the eye could see. I could not perceive an end to this enormous hall, and it was full of a bright, beaming, beautiful white light. And as I kind of brought my awareness around me, I noticed that I was surrounded by life, by countless living beings, all kind of the same, but all categorized kind of differently. That doesn't make sense now. It probably will as these videos unfold, but at the time, to me, it really didn't. Now, as is the case when we move into these visionary states, trying to figure things out too quickly is often a futile effort. So I just surrendered and kind of sat back with it, and I won't lie, it was kind of terrifying, but exhilarating at the same time. And I sat and I looked around, and something started to dawn on me as I looked around. What started to dawn on me was that these beings, they were all paying their attention in one direction, or focusing their presence in one direction. And as I brought my attention into the same direction, I looked up and I saw the source of all of this light. And it wasn't just light, it was like warmth, like when the sun hits you on a summer's day. And this warmth, as soon as I acknowledged it, just enveloped me, it wrapped me up, and it was just an absolute bliss. And I kind of sat there in this state for, I don't know how long. I lost track of time quite easily. Now, as I kind of came back from this blissful nothingness, I started to look around at these living beings, and an awareness hit me. I had come down, let's say, reduced in size, and was now experiencing the perception of one of the cells within my body. My consciousness had reduced all the way into just the consciousness of one of the cells in the body. And every other living being which was around me in this grand hall was another cell. Countless of them, like as far as I could see. And this took me back. This struck me as being incredibly beautiful. I wasn't quite sure why, but it just, I was in reverence to what I was experiencing. Then I brought my attention back to the source of the light and the warmth. And as I gazed up, another awareness just flashed across me in this moment. And I realized that myself and all of these other living beings around me, we were all cells within the body. And this source of light and warmth, this was our God. This was our God. This is why they were paying this source of light and warmth such love and attention, and in return it was just feeding them with this nourishing warmth. And I asked myself, I thought, well, who is God to the cells? Who is God to the cells of our body? And then something else hit me. Our cells in our body are essentially followers to their God, which is our consciousness. And it was like absolutely mind-blowing beyond description. Because then my follow-on thought was a realization that when I'm not in this awareness, or the cell awareness, when I'm in my normal consciousness as a person, as a human being, the part of me which is the light, the part of me which is my soul, my authentic expression, my consciousness, me, the real me, this is God in this kingdom. And each and every one of my cells is a dedicated follower, a follower whose role it is to create this incredible temple, which they have created as a perfect representation of every conscious and unconscious thought and action that I have ever had. That's what this body is. And that hit me in such a way, because not only did it immediately make me feel a part of something so huge and so beautiful and so interconnected, but it also made me realize that behind me, supporting me, loving me, driving me on towards what I want, is an army of tens of trillions of intelligent beings dedicated to nothing other than serving my wishes, my conscious and unconscious wishes. And this knocked me for six. And as this experience continued, I started to move around this space. I started to ask questions, assume different positions and different roles, observing this kingdom within from many different perspectives, and understanding the cells who immediately stopped being referred to as cells and started being referred to as followers, because that's what they are. Experiencing their world from every potential angle. And this was ultimately profound. It completely reorganized, readjusted, and restructured the way that I perceive my relationship with this body, the way that I understand my nature and who I really am, which is nothing short of a God to a complete civilization. Now my experience of moving between and around these different areas and perspectives gave me many, many different insights, which, as I discussed in the first video, I've subsequently applied in my life in different ways, and which has subsequently upgraded my experience of living in any way that can be described. Everything has shifted. Everything has upgraded. Because now I'm supported, knowingly supported by an entire civilization. In the coming videos, I'm going to go into some more detail about some of the more practical side of this understanding and what it means. In the next video, I'm going to talk about the different realms of body awareness, body consciousness that we have, and the different places that we as people can find ourselves, and what that generally means in our day-to-day life, culminating, of course, in this realization, which I believe is the highest level of body consciousness that we can potentially attain. As always, if you have any questions or queries for me, you can reach out to me in a number of different ways. My Instagram is pineal_Nick. My email address is nick@pinealnick.org, and my website is www.pinealnick.org. Until our next video, goodbye.